Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel to learn Swift programming. In today's lesson I'm going to show you how to navigate from your current screen to the next screen, and while navigating how to pass some data. If this video helps you in learning Swift, please do subscribe to my channel and press the like button for this video. So without delaying anymore, let's get started, and I will be implementing navigation in the same project which I have created in my last video. And if you guys haven't watched my previous video yet, I'll leave a link in the description. So coming back to the project, you have to come to your storyboard first, go to your library file and search navigation controller. This navigation controller is going to be the initial view controller, or say this will works as a stack for all the screens which we are going to create in the project. So drag it down this to your storyboard, and you can see this navigation controller is already has connected a root view controller as a default. But because we have already created our own view controller, we are going to use this view controller as the root view controller for navigation controller. And the reason is why do we need a root view controller for the navigation controller is that the navigation controller works as a stack. So your root view controller will be in the bottom of your stack. So whenever you are navigating from one screen to another, all the screens which you are navigating from will be in the stack from bottom to up. So in the bottom, in the very bottom, will be your root view controller, which I'm going to set this view controller as the root view controller. So we do not need this root view controller. You can just select this and press delete, and this will be removed from your storyboard. Another thing you can see is that your view controller has an arrow button here. So what this arrow buttons means is that this view controller is your initial view controller for this project. But while using navigation controller, we have to set this navigation controller as the initial view controller, because this navigation controller is going to hold all other view controllers as a stack. So you need to set this navigation controller as initial view controller for your project. So choose this view controller, go to your inspector and just uncheck this is initial view controller from here, and automatically this will be removed from your view controller. The arrow is removed now. Come to your navigation controller, and you can see that here is also an option for is initial view controller. Checked this, and you can see that this arrow comes to this navigation controller right now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this view controller as the root view controller for this navigation controller. So what we have to do is select this navigation controller, press Ctrl, select your mouse and drag from here to your view controller. When you leave the mouse, you can see this view appeared in here. You have to choose root view controller, and you can see that this view controller is now set as the root view controller for your navigation controller. Now what I'm going to need is another view controller in my project, so that I can navigate from this view controller to the next view controller using this button. So come to your library again and search view controller and drag this to your storyboard. Okay, right now you can see that this view controller and this view controller both have the same name. I'm going to change that a little bit after. First I'm going to set a label in here so that I can identify that I have actually navigated to the next screen. Select your level, set horizontally and container and vertically and container both. When you set a particular library file as the horizontally in container and vertically in container both, what these constants will do is that this will set that particular library file in the middle of your screen. So please do check that both of them valued as 0. Now add these two constants and now you can see that this level is in the middle of your screen. I'm going to set some more constants in here. Set the leading as 40, the trailing as 40 and set the height as 60. I think this will be enough. Yes. And come to your inspector, set this level's text alignment in the middle, change the font from here, set this to bold, make it 24. You can just remove this text from here, press enter and this will be removed. Now I'm going to need a view controller Swift file for this storyboard. Select this view controller, press right click and choose new file, and when this box appears you can see there are multiple options in here, but for this I'm going to need a Cocoa Touch class. Give this view controller a particular name. I'm going to set this name as second view controller. Press next and your project is checked in here, so all good to go now. Create this and this second view controller is set in here. But as you can see here that in my storyboard both of the view controllers has the same name. So when I'm going to navigate from one screen to another, I'm going to need a storyboard ID so that the Swift can understand that which particular storyboard or which particular view controller it has to show right now. So I'm going to set the ID. Just select this view controller's name, second view controller, go to your storyboard, choose your second view controller, go to your inspector and check this identity inspector. Change the class name from here, press enter, and you can see here that storyboard ID can be set from here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my class name and storyboard ID as same, so it will be helpful, a little bit helpful when you are creating a very big project. So you do not need to set a different storyboard ID for every class of yours. You just can use your class name as your storyboard ID. It would be very easy to understand. Choose second, give this storyboard ID a name, select this use storyboard ID and just press enter, and this is all set now. Now if you select this next view controller, you can see that this view controller's name has changed to second view controller, and you can see from here too. Now except your root view controller, you do not need to connect from your navigation controller to your other view controllers. You just need to connect your root view controller from the navigation controller, and all other view controllers will be connected to the navigation controller directly after your root view controller is called. Now I'm going to set this level outlet in my second view controller Swift file. So choose this, select your second view controller and select your second view controller from storyboard. Select this level, press Ctrl, tap onto your mouse and drag it into your Swift file. The connection is set to outlet, so you do not need to change this. Give it a proper name, level. label email ID, because I'm going to send the email ID to this second view controller to display that what text I have selected in my first view controller. Label email ID. Your applet is set now. Go to your second view controller. Just remove this some unnecessary codes from here. I'm going to use a variable. Let's say var text email equals to empty string, and this variable is initialized with an empty string. And what I'm going to do is use this label and this variable to set my data when I'm passing from my previous view controller. Label email ID dot text self text email. So when I send my data from my first view controller to the second view controller via this variable is going to save that data for me, and then I can use this variable in anywhere in that particular class to mutate the data or use the data as you like. I'm going to just set this text email or this variables data to the label directly. Now come to your first view controller. To navigate from one screen to another, first you have to know that the screen which you are going to navigate, in which particular storyboard that view controller resides. So in my case I am using only one particular storyboard, so let's just create an instance for this storyboard, UI storyboard. I'm going to need the particular name for the storyboard, which is main in this case, and set your bundle as nil. Now I'm going to create an instance for my second view controller using this storyboard instance. So let view controller storyboard dot instantiate view controller with identifier. In this with identifier, which is a string type, we have to pass a string data. But what data I'm going to pass in here? The data which we have set for our second view controller from the inspector panel as the storyboard ID, which is second view controller, same as the class name. So come to your first view controller and paste your storyboard ID in here. But this is your storyboard ID. Still you need to declare this, that this is a view controller which you are going to navigate to. So here's second view controller. Now your storyboard instance is created, your view controller instance is created. What we just have to do is we have to push our data, or we have to push our screen from one to the next. So self dot navigation controller dot push view controller, and we have to give an instance of our view controller, which is this one, and I'm going to set animation as false. I do not need any animation in my case. When you set this view controller's instance in here, you can see there is a warning which is telling you to set some default value for your view controller instance, or just forcefully unwrap this. But I'm not going to do either of them. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to set this view controller instant and use this as a if let condition. If let, and paste this particular set of data inside this if condition. So if any case, if you have done any mistakes while navigating from one screen to another, if you have given the wrong storyboard name or wrong view controller, or in any case you have deleted your view controller from that particular storyboard. So if this while navigating, if Swift didn't find any particular view controller which you have mentioned in here to this particular storyboard, your app can crash. So not to do that, you can avoid by using if let condition. If this particular view controller is found in this particular storyboard, then only your screen will be navigate, otherwise it will do nothing. Your app will be safe from getting crashed. That's all this particular set of code is doing in here. Now what I'm going to do extra line of code is for to get the text data which will be in the text email ID, or I can just show you after some time. And for this I need to do some changes in here also. Let's copy this line and comment out this. For now I'm going to change this some minute after. Set this name as second view controller. Okay, what your view controller. I'm going to show you a particular thing when I run this project. So that is why I'm not going to show you just right now that how you can push your data from one screen to another. I'm going to show you after some time. First run your project, choose a particular simulator, whatever you like. Run this project. Remember, when you are launching your simulator for the first time, it will going to take some time. Okay, it's attached to my project now. So you can see in your first view controller that here is a particular grayish box came into top of your screen, which is actually the navigation bar for the navigation controller. So by default, all the screens, whatever you are going to create in this project or in your project, this navigation bar is going to come by default. We can hide this navigation bar very easily. I will be showing you this also. If you press this button now, you can see that we have navigated to the next screen, and there is a default back button in here which will be created by the navigation controller by itself whenever you are going to navigate to your next screen. So if I press this button right now, you can see I have get back to my first screen, but there is a little bit problem is that I have not given any data to any of my text field right now, but still I can go to the next screen. So I'm going to give some conditions in here so that I cannot go to the next screen as long as I haven't give any data to both of my text fields. And I'm going to hide this navigation bar and this navigation bar also. To hide your navigation bar, go to your view deployed function, just use self, which is saying that this particular class is holding the navigation controller dot navigation bar. Use is hidden property for your navigation bar and set this to true. This is hidden property will hide your navigation bar from all of the screens wherever you are going to use this particular set of code. So what I'm going to do some conditions when your button is tapped. So say I'm going to check only if those text fields are empty or not. So say if let text email self dot text field email id dot text. If you have learned C or C++, where you have learned that you can just change some of your if conditions in here, you can do the same thing in Swift too. You can just take the text emails data in this particular variable, and then you can write like this: text email is empty. Is empty is a property for text fields which will check that if this text field is empty or not, which will be returning a bool value. You can do this in this way, or there is a shortcut way for Swift, which is that you do not need to nested your if condition. You can just use only one if condition and just use a comma separator for your another condition. Use text email dot is empty in here, and your nested if condition will be handled in the same line like this using the comma separator. And when you are used to using bool values in C or C++ languages like this, you always checked your bool value as equals true or equals false like this. You can do the same thing in Swift also, but this practice is very old-fashioned. To check your bool value as true, you just need to set your variable and set the property like this, and Swift will understand that you are checking your bool value for true only. If you want to check your bool value for false, you just need to set an exclamation mark before your variable. And right now Swift will be checking your variable bool value, return bool value is false or not. If it's false, then only this if condition will execute, otherwise it will not. But I'm going to check this bool value as true for this particular if condition. So if my text field, email text field, if it's empty, I do not want this button to execute any more code after this if condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to return from here if my text field email is blank. So if it's empty, it will execute it and just return from here, and all other codes after this if condition won't be executed. So I'm going to do the same thing for text field password also. So let's say text password, text password self dot text field password dot text password is empty, and I'm going to return from here also, and all other codes which I have already written in here will be here as usual, and the alignments got a little bit disturbed. So if any of your text field is empty, then if any of your text field data is empty, this what will happen is that your action button will be written from here or here, and this particular line of codes won't be executed, so you do not need to worry about navigating to the next screen. So I'm going to use a variable so that I can send this data from here to my second view controller and get my data in this particular variable. I'm going to set this variable as var also. Use your view controller instance to get this variable which is in your second view controller. Because this particular variable is, I have set this as a var, and that's why I have to give an optional value, but Swift want this variable to change from var to let because this variable is not mutating, and that's why this particular text field data which I have taken from this text field to this particular variable, Swift want me to change this from var to let. And if I just fix this button, you can see that Swift will automatically change this particular variable to let, and I think I do not need this optional value as a, let's see, I going to need this optional value because this particular text variable in the second view controller is set as var. I'm going to hide this navigation bar in my second view controller as well, so I'm just going to copy this from here and paste this into here, into this view controller's view did load. I do not need this variable value, and I'm just going to open this commented line. I think solves ready to go now. What another thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need a button for my second screen, because because of this code, if I hide my navigation bar, the default back button will also get hidden. So I'm going to need a back button for this second view controller so that I can get back to my first view controller. So take a button from this library, drag to your second view controller, send the constant as horizontally on container, and set a leading and trailing for your button, and as well as a height. Problems it's having, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, this will need a bottom constant as well, because there is a level in here, so this button is going to need a bottom constant as well. So now your button is all set to go. Come to your inspector. I'm going to modify this button a little bit. Change the text of button as back. Change your font. Change your font to bold. Make it a little bit large. Set your text color as white, and change the background of your button from here. Use this color. Okay. Now what I have to do is I have to set an action value for this button to my second view controller. Choose the second view controller, and choose the second view controller from your storyboard as well. Press Ctrl and use your mouse and drag from your storyboard to your view controller file. Your connection is set to action, so you do not need to change this. Give it a proper name, button back tapped. Go to your second view controller, and to get back to your previous view controller, you just need to write one line of code, and which is self navigation controller of view controller. I'm going to set this animation as false as well, and I'm setting my labels data from this variable, and this variable is going to get the data from this particular variable, and this variable is taking the data from this text field email. So I think we are all set to go now. Okay, run new project again. So now if you try to press your sign in button, you can see that this button is not working as it was working previously, and you cannot navigate to your next screen. And also you can see that the grayish bar is hide right now. It's hidden from here. my keyboard is not appearing. I'm going to press Command K for this, and you can see my keyboard is appeared. I'm going to give a name. Because till now we haven't validated our email field or password field, we can give any kind of data we want. We can write anything we want. Now I have given some data to my email field, but still I haven't given any data to my password field. And if in this position I press this sign in button, still it won't work. I'm going to give at least one data in here. And now if I press this button, I have navigated to the next screen, and you can see that this navigation bar from the second screen is also disappeared, and as well as the back button, and the text and also changed in this level, which I have given in my previous screen in the text field email. And this particular set of data is passed from my previous screen to this current screen. And if I press this back button now, I am back to my previous screen. So that's it for today's, guys. I hope you have learned how you can navigate from one screen to another in Swift. And if you like this video, press the like button and do subscribe to my channel. I will bring some new topics every week for Swift programming. Catch you all in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.